the new Mac Mini is here, and it looks pretty darn fantastic. And I've got a lot of positive things to say, contrary to my usual thoughts on the way Apple does business. I actually love the Mac Mini, and I've had the Mac Mini with the M1. I've had it with the M2. I didn't buy it with the M3, but this one, this one looks really, really special. And why is that? Well, there's some significant upgrades. Base storage now, 256, of course, that's fine. But the big upgrade is in the RAM department. You get 16 gigabytes of RAM, and it's actually kind of interesting because it's like they acknowledge that you're going to do some heavy lifting on here. You need 16 gigs of RAM, but they still start you off at 256. They charge a lot of extra money for storage, and I'm still not crazy about that. But yeah, if you want to go to 512, it's an extra $200. But one of the nice things about the whole Mac Mini and Macs in general is you can get a lot of extra storage by simply buying a external SSD and plugging it into the back, and it treats it like a regular hard drive. So that's one cheat sheet, one cheat code to work your way around that. But anyway, the Mac Mini starts off at $599. So 256 storage, I mean, that's not the end of the world. You can pay an additional $200 to get 512. You can get 1 terabyte for $400, or you can get 2 terabytes for an extra $800. Probably just get like a 1 terabyte SSD and plug the sucker into the back, and you'll be good to go. 16 gigs of RAM is fine. And a lot of people used to complain about the 8 gigabytes of RAM, which I always found mostly okay for the price point. $599, you could get the M1 or the M2 chip. You got 8 gigs of RAM. That's okay. For what you're doing with this thing, at least back then, I thought that was perfectly adequate. Now, shoot, I worked with the M1 Pro in my MacBook with 16 gigs of RAM for 3 years. And I was very easily able to edit 4K content, make videos, do everything I wanted to do with it. And I think the Mac Mini itself is a cheat code. Whenever you take a look at around the market with what you can get for that amount of money for $599, and also just so you know, if you can get access like with your military discount, veteran discount, things like that on their veteran portal, you can save an extra 10% that way. That's also nice. Even with the educator discount, they've got some of that stuff. So yeah, you can do so much with these things. You could basically build your own content creation platform. Like you could do YouTube for a living with this thing. I mean, I've been doing it for years. I did it with an M1 chip. I did it with an M2 chip. I've done it. Now I've got the MacBook Pro with the M3 Max and like 36 gigs of RAM, whatever. And it's amazing. It's flawless. But still, I have a M3 MacBook Air with only 8 gigs of RAM and 256 storage. And I take that the whole time I was gone for over a week while I was in China and I was in Japan. I was editing all of my videos on that. So depending on what you're doing with it, like 256 is still perfectly fine for most people. If you're not doing video editing, I think 256 is fine. If you're just doing document drafting, if you're just doing some composition, some AI work, some schoolwork, some business stuff, that's going to be perfectly fine. It comes with Apple Intelligence, it kind of comes with Apple Intelligence. So, of course, you can get the first rollout of it now that we got with iOS 18.1. With macOS, you can get access to it as well. And then we'll have the full deployment of Apple Intelligence, part of it again in December, and then fully deployed, I think, by March, April of next year, which is fine. But there's just nothing like this on the PC side. Like, you can't go out and find something that has the same level of horsepower, the same level of skill set and tools that you have available to you. And if you want to edit videos, like I use Final Cut Pro. Final Cut Pro is fantastic for me. I love that it's like, $300, $400. You never have to pay anything else again. I know that's a little steep for an entry cost, but if you take a look at it from a business perspective, I've been using the same Final Cut Pro license for like 4 or 5 years now. And I haven't had to upgrade anything. It continually gets supported and things like that. So yeah, if you're somebody who's like a teenager, somebody early college years, you want to do some work, you want to do some content creation, you want to create a YouTube channel on the side, you want to do video editing, there's so many magical things you can do with this. And I know normally my whole mantra is like, I don't like Apple. Now, I respect their products and the people that like them is fine. The iPhone, perfectly good phone. The Mac computers are great. What normally pisses me off about the Macs is they charge you so much for extra things, right? So it's cool. You can get 16 gigs of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage for $599, but it's a bit asinine. You have to pay $200 to get 512 gigabytes of storage, or you got to pay $400 to get 1 terabyte. Like, that's just nonsense. But that's how they get you. Like, they give you the great entry-level product, but then they charge you for the niceties that you might want extra on top of that. So just so you can see here, up to 2 terabytes of storage. You can get up to 32 gigabytes of RAM. So if you need 24, it's $200 extra. If you need 32, it's $400 extra. And then when you talk about ports, you've got 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports. You've got HDMI port. You've got 2 USB-Cs and a headphone jack, which is fine. One big thing that's missing, though, is no USB-A. I wish they would have at least one USB-A on there. And I just did a video yesterday. I did a review on the Lenovo Legion 7i, and I was very happy because it had a USB Type-A on both sides. It's like kind of ambidextrous, so whether you're left-handed, whether you're right-handed, depending on what you're doing with your flow, that's something that's nice to have. This doesn't have one. Of course, you can convert things from USB Type-A to Type-C. That's fine, but I wish it natively had at least one USB Type-A. It doesn't come in different colors. If they had a purple one, I would buy that sucker instantly. And here's the thing. We have 2 Mac Minis with M2s here. Like 2 of my kids have them. And then my wife has a M1 Pro MacBook. And then I have an M3 Max MacBook. And then I have an M3 MacBook Air. Like, these things are great. We use them for all sorts of things. My wife has her YouTube channel. She doesn't really make videos anymore. My son started his own YouTube channel. He likes to do fitness stuff. And I always kind of recommend this because if you've got a hobby, if you've got something you care about, it's a great way to really teach yourself a skill, get down in the dirt, and then like teach other people about what it is you're passionate about. And ultimately, that's what YouTube's all about. And it's a great way if you can get monetized to try and make some extra money. Even, hey, sometimes you can turn a hobby into a living. That's what I've done with my channel. And it's funny because when I first started my channel, I told my wife from the get-go, and this was back still when BlackBerry was still around and making phones, and they were like my number one passion. Like, I loved BlackBerry phones, so I created my channel to make videos about BlackBerry. I remember back then, like 6 years ago, talking to my wife saying, I hope one day maybe I can get like 20,000 subscribers. Maybe I can make a few $100 a month just to pay for my BlackBerry addiction and to keep getting these phones. And now I find myself in a position where even though I have a law degree, even though I have a military retirement, I make a living making YouTube videos. And it's something that I love. I mean, there's a reason I make videos every day. There's so many things that I want to talk about. And a lot of people are like, how do you make videos every day? How do you even find stuff to talk about? I'm like, well, fortunately, it's genetic. Us Matlocks have the ability to talk about anything for any length of time. And it's just what we do. We're very good at talking. At least I am. And my dad and his doctorate degree and his 5-syllable words conversation, it's what he does. But anyway, yeah, we're good talkers, but it's what I care about. And I just can't limit myself to one topic. I mean, I'd probably be more successful on YouTube if I just talked about like Samsung or just talked about Pixel, but I cover Samsung, Google, Apple, Motorola. I mean, I cover all sorts of things. I mean, shoot, I just put out a video today or yesterday about the Apple Intelligence being available, and I put one out about the Lenovo Legion 7i. And it's just what I enjoy doing, and the Mac ecosphere is what enables me to do that. I mean, I had some other stuff. I use like Filmora, Wondershare, or something like that when I first got started. I tried Adobe Premiere. I tried DaVinci Resolve. And Final Cut Pro is really what locked me in. It's so simple. It's so easy to use. And it works flawlessly. Like, it works so good on the Mac products. And it handles 4K video so well. I record with my iPhone. I airdrop it to my Mac. And then I upload to the internet. Like, it's very easy. So this is like I said, it's a cheat code. You could basically get an iPhone 16, you could get a Mac Mini, and like a decent microphone, less than $1,500, and you've got everything you need to be able to do work, to do school, to edit videos, to shoot videos, to have one of the top phones that's out on the market. And I mean, of course, you can do that cheaper. You could get an iPhone 13 Pro, and you could still go get like an M1 or an M2 Mac Mini for a couple $100. I mean, you can find those things used, refurbished, or whatever. So it's just amazing to me how much power you have now. This M4 chip is good. I have it in my iPad Pro 11-inch, and I've edited video on there as well. And I found that the M4 with my iPad was able to export video about the same speed as my M1 Pro, which is pretty fantastic considering it's a little tablet next to a pro-level M1 Pro MacBook. So it's just one of those things where it's, what do you need? Like, if you're not doing gaming, and of course there's some gaming stuff, some emulation stuff, different things you can do if you want workarounds on that. But by and large, it's so nice. And it's funny, there's so much drama. There's always drama in the tech space. And I talk about stuff that irritates me, or I highlight things that I think are stupid when it comes to products. But here's the thing. Where's the power button? It's on the bottom. So the power button is on the bottom part of the Mac Mini, and so many people are losing their minds over it. And me, I mean, I think I'm the voice of reason here. I don't think it matters that much. So yes, it's not ideal being there, but if you think about it, when's the last time you had a Mac product and you had to turn it off? You don't ever have to turn them off. They work just fine. They work great. They hardly ever crash. And if they do, then you can go ahead and do a hard reset with it. But you basically never need to use the power button. Ever since I've had my M3 Max MacBook, I haven't had to turn it off once, and I've had it for months. My M1 Pro, maybe I turned it off 5 times in the last year. So I don't have a problem with it because you basically press it and forget about it. It's out of the way, it's seamless, and it makes everything look really nice. And then this thing is tiny. Like, it's super tiny. They made it even smaller than the last go around, which is just insane to me that it's so small. It has so much power, and you could even get a gigabit Ethernet connection with it. So it has gigabit Ethernet already, but you can spend an extra $100 and get 10 gigabit Ethernet, which, I mean, I've got 150 megabits per second for my internet out in my office, so I don't really need that. Maybe you need that. I don't know. But there was a clear distinction before in the Mac Mini and the Mac Studio. And now the Mac Mini, with what you can do with it, I mean, shoot, you can do 2 terabytes of storage, and then you can even get it, I believe, with the M4 Pro. Can you? Let me see. No, maybe not the M4 Pro. No, just regular M4. But you can get it with a 10-core CPU, 10-core GPU. That's baseline. If you want to go to the $799 model, it bumps up to $512. And then if you want to go to the $999 model, it bumps it up to $24 and $512. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I missed it. So yeah, you can get it with the M4 Pro. So if you pay $13.99, you can get it with 12-core CPU, 16-core GPU, 24 gigs of RAM, 512 gigabytes of storage, $13.99. And this will probably run circles around the $19.99 introductory Mac Studio that came out several years ago. So yeah, this is pretty darn fantastic. I mean, just the options you have available here. And again, don't pay too much attention to that hard drive stuff, because just get an external SSD. This is not like a laptop. Like the laptop, you're going to carry that around with you. Like, I don't want dongles and SSDs hanging off the backside of my computer. But if you get a desktop like this, it's pretty well stationary. So it's very easy to do that. So if you have to make a decision, okay, do I want to spend 200 extra bucks and get RAM, or do I spend 200 extra bucks and get storage? Maybe opt for the extra RAM, and then go buy an SSD and save yourself tons of money, and you still get the same benefits out of it. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about this. It's available. You can pre-order them now, and they're going to be available on November the 8th. And I'm strongly considering getting one, even though I don't need one. Like, I don't need it. Like I said, I told you I've got like 4 different Mac computers here, iPad, the whole 9 yards. But dang, this is impressive. Like, it's really impressive. As somebody who's come up, I used the i7 in the 2019 MacBook Pro, then I moved to the M1. The M1 was spectacular. I had the M1 Pro, and then the M2, and then the M3 Max. Yeah, these things are seriously impressive. And from a work perspective, productivity, Mac OS is really good. It's nice. It's seamless. I don't have any problems with it. And it's just, I think they've done a really good job with this. Of course, they've got different options, the MacBooks, the iMacs, all that stuff. But if you want something where just, all right, you're here for business and you're ready to show up, you don't want to spend a ton of money, there's so many different options. You're ranging from starting at $599. Just the fact that you can get all that and what you can do with it, to me, is spectacular. So if you were here for a bashing Apple video, that's not what this is about today. And here's the thing. Like, a lot of times when I criticize Apple, it's the company themselves. The company, the decisions, the things they do to rip you off, the things I disagree with. I try to be as unbiased as possible when it comes to the products. And I try and present them in a way where, highlight the pros, highlight the cons. I'm a person that likes to highlight good things where good things exist. And the Mac Mini is like this shiny beacon of really good product at really good value in the Apple lineup, which makes it feel like it's not even an Apple product, because one, that doesn't really exist in any of the other product lineup, and two, just the applicability and what you can do, and comparing this to what you can get in the PC market is just absurd. So that's all I've got. If you have any questions, comments, gripes, concerns, complaints, all that stuff, go to the comment section. I'll do my best to get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, if you found this helpful, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.